So, with the new version of Splatoon coming out relatively soon, in a few days as of the recording of this video, we are unfortunately in a position where I didn't hope we would be in half a year into this video game's lifespan. When the game released initially, without X-Rank and without League and with missing feature, we had a lot of hopes, whether it would be more gear coming out, more weapon kits being good and interesting, the return of old modes and stuff like that. We were pretty hopeful for this Splatoon 3 game to be interesting and unique and different from its predecessor, the Splatoon 2. Unfortunately, as the game lives progress more and more, we reached the conclusion that it just is not the case. Splatoon 3 is riddled with devs who are just don't know anything of what they're doing in terms of how to develop a game, how to balance the game, or even how to design maps. We are stacked with maps, all new maps and all boring old maps returning that are either a shell of what they used to be, or just boring, tiny and uninteresting with a restricted mid that doesn't allow any flank options at all. We have very little in terms of weapon kits, with most of the majority of the weapons being just one weapon that is good, with every other weapon being outshadowed by another weapon with a similar kit but just a better main weapon, and just a lack of actual patch note and balancing that makes anything work. So what are the main problems that disturb me the most as a player? And that honestly is mostly the fact that when I want to play X-Rank, it's boring. And why that is because the game introduced a new system for the matchmaking, instead of making it interesting or good and something better than what was offered in Splatoon 2, or in my opinion something more along the line of weapons should have been matched with weapons of similar range, with an overall team range of scores that you would have to follow, with somewhat giving the power of X-Rank a factor into the mix. What we get is essentially just a Splatoon trying the best they can to perform a mirror match. If you ever played Splatoon, you would know that a mirror match is the single worst thing that you would have to go for, because you have the same exact weapon. The main factor and the thing that is most interesting about Splatoon as a game is the fact that every weapon is different. So what happens is you pull out a weapon that is more niche to battle out a certain weapon that disturbs you or that has an advantage on certain map mode combination, and what you get is a lot of success thanks to that. Maybe using something like an E-leader to outdo a charger that annoys you, maybe using a charger to outdo a Splatling that annoys you. In Splatoon 3 you don't get that, because Splatlings and chargers will never actually battle against each other, only chargers and chargers will battle against each other, and that means that if you pull out a Squiffer, instead of matching up against something like, I don't know, maybe a Jet Squelcher, maybe a Forge Pro that has similar range to you, you will battle an E-leader because everyone plays E-leader and the matchmaking is terrible. The way in which the system is currently implemented is by taking a weapon of a certain type, which Splatoon has categorized, and then making their best they can into matchmaking towards people of the same type of weapon, which means that easily a Carbon would match up against a Dynamo, for example, which is obviously not the matchup you want. One is much more painter and much more slower, the other one has no range at all and is much close range and faster. Two very different weapons, very distinct weapons, yet Splatoon considers them the same weapon, in which case the game would match them together, which is obviously very bad. In a game that is so much reliant on the range of certain weapons or the damage, the DPS that weapons has, this system just does not work and fails you so many times. This game is all about using one weapon to have a niche or to have a better matchup against a different weapon, and this system just shits all over you and are like, oh, you're playing T-Tech? Cool, we'll find another T-Tech. Oh, you're playing Splash? Oh, cool, we'll find another Splash. Oh, you're playing Charger? Cool, okay, we'll find another Charger. Oh, you're playing Squiffer because you like Squiffer? Oh, cool, we'll find an E-leader, you know, stuff like that. Which basically make all the matchups much more terrible, much more repetitive. When you pull up to a match and you want to play a certain weapon just because you like it, there is high chances that there will be 3 other people with the same weapon in the match, because some other dude on the other team wanted to play it and you know your teammate wanted to play it as well, so now the other dude on the other team also has to play it because they have to be the same weapon. Everything just connects together and destroys itself, and it's just not fun to play. And with the current news being all about, ooh, look how Table Turf Online is cool, we get more and more hopeless as the people who hoped for the return of League is no longer here. Now you may think, oh, you can play open, why would you want to play League? And the simple answer is actually the obvious one. If you just have one friend and you want to play together, currently all you can do is play open. Now it's cool if you only had 3 friends. Before you couldn't do that, one of you would have to ditch out or you would have to find another friend. So now you can play open, but that's much more of a niche. What happens now essentially is that if you're a party of 2 and you want to play together, all you will have to do is just rank up in open and oh look at that, it's a full team of pro players who are VC and are very much tryhards. Have fun playing against that, you know? Or what, you just didn't like X rank and you wanted to play solo in open to just seal? Well, how about you find those exact same teams of full tryhards people who are like doing their best to win? Well, you just want to chill out and forget all of the hard things that come with playing X-Rank. The system is very unbalanced to the point where if you want to play in any sort of capacity that isn't a full team, you are left with the always possibility of playing against better players. Now you may think, oh, it's not that bad since you don't lose that many points, but at the same time, you just want to play with friends. And being able to just get shitted on while just wanting to chill and have fun, it's not something that the game's like, you don't have anything else you can do against that, which is very much a big problem. In Splatoon 2, League would solve that issue, being something that you can either just play cause whatever with your friends, being matched against equal duos or equal teams if you had a full team, and actually offer you much more of a challenge. That's another problem. What if you do have a full team? Well, good luck finding an actual full team because almost everyone is playing open because everyone knows that X-Rank is bad and people probably has friends they want to play with. So now what you have is just you're playing 4 and you're hoping that maybe at some point you'll actually get a serious matchup against the party of 4 because you just can find a scrim. And that's the problem. The current open just doesn't offer you anything in terms of giving you that sure 100% somewhat of an equal matchup that you would want when you're playing with multiple people at the same time and you're not playing solo queue, and it just is not able to provide that. And to top it all off, while that's much more of a personal opinion, I am very much not excited about the new weapons. If you've ever come across my channel, you know that I prefer the pseudo style of weapons. While I can obviously play other weapons, they are not my preferred method for generally playing the games for a long time, and none of the new weapons offer that. I mean, the new charger is cool, yes, I will not deny that, but at the same time I had hopes that Splash would get inkjet, you know, and Zap. I had so many hopes that if they're copying kits from Splatoon 1, the Splat Bomb will make a return. Instead I got a worse kit of the Splatoon 2, which I already didn't like that much thanks to how Auto Bomb is just really much a bad sab weapon, which is very unfortunate on a kit that was already dead thanks to the lack of ink armor in this game, which allowed versatility on a different level compared to Tacticooler in the regular Zap had back in Splatoon 2. Just nothing like that exists right now, and that sucks because the Zap is my favorite weapon and my actual main for back in Splatoon 2, and they just keep on giving it kits that just do not complement the weapon in any way. And while I will give them credit for bringing back Manta Maria and Kraken with some of the good old kits that actually do look fairly interesting, the 96 and the Kraken Roller, at the same time I can't help but be disappointed that some of my favorite weapons just get what are essentially very lackluster kits. The new Splash, as much as people would like to meme that the meta will now become only Splash, Sack Bomb is really not a good pairing. It makes what would otherwise be one of the best main weapons in the game thanks to its perfect accuracy and really good painting and fire rate into much more of a support role. This kit would fit much better on something like the pro weapons, the Rapid Blasters weapons, maybe even something like the Squeezer, but on a Splash the kit just becomes much more of a support on such an offensive weapon, which I don't think is a good mix. So personally I don't think the new Splash will actually beat out the T-Tex in terms of popularity, because the T-Tex has the versatility of the Splat Bomb, which the Splash will now not have. And again, I was really hoping for maybe something like the Inkjet, because it's such a good pairing with the weapon, and it had it back in Splatoon 2, and as we are right now, we got only one weapon with Inkjet in the new version, which makes it for a total of 3, which now just makes you question why would you return a special like that if you feel like not giving it to any weapon. Which makes you feel like it's such a waste on what otherwise could be a really good weapon in a meta that is stumbled with maps like Mincemeat, like Scorchgorge, where a weapon like Inkjet would legitimately give you a fresh offensive options that isn't the annoying crab tank, when would still be able to take out those chargers that are annoying, all of those long range weapons that has much more of an advantage over you. And it would be really cool to see something like that into action, but as of now just no weapon gets it, and whatever weapon do get it is a much more awkward kit that's like weird. Which brings me to my next point, in the fact that devs right now seem to just have zero understanding over what type of games they actually have. Well, a lot of people might have complained about Splatoon 2 and its map design. The thing I can say about that, at least it had options. In Splatoon 3, options are a thing of the past and it does not exist anymore. Mid is all you have and you better hold on to it tight or spam all of your crab tanks and tri-strikes, because hell, you're not getting through it just by going straight, because that charger or that roller sharking in the corner are watching you. So essentially what you get is maps that are poorly designed for a game with multiple options and multiple routes that you can take, with weapons and kits that feels very uninteresting or just plain bad, not understanding how a kit and a weapon should work together, let alone the fact that the patch notes are just lacking and none of the main problems that the majority of the community has is actually getting fixed by the devs and by the patch notes. A lot of the problem right now, even if I don't agree with it as a Splash player, is how much people are playing Splash, and the fact that no major nerf has come to the Splash kit just makes it very weird and just shows you how disconnected the devs are from the current community. Even if the devs do deem this weapon balanced or crab tank as balanced, I do think that the over majority of players playing that weapon should be an indicator that maybe something should be done about it. Same thing could go for Stamper as it is right now. It just is the perfect weapon to kill everything on the ledge and nothing is done about that either. So yes, what once was a game I was hopeful about to see what the futures might hold for it. Now it's a game just filled with unbalanced kit, terrible map design, lack of balancing, lack of gear, lack of variety in weapons and choices, and just overall a grimmer look to the future, which I mean could change, but at the same time, the more it goes on, the less and less my hopes remain.